Hello and welcome to All 24 News, world news program streaming to you live from Algiers. I'm your host Islam Sid, and up next are the top stories. Algerian presidential candidates submit applications ahead of deadline. Election process enters critical phase before September 7th polls. "54 martyrs in 3 Zionist massacres on Gaza's 286th day of genocide, and civil defense confirms occupation uses weapons and missiles, causing severe injuries and limb amputations." Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf urges sustainable self-financing for African Union to ensure independence and sovereignty. That's next. Also coming up, the White House reports President Biden has COVID-19 amid growing pressure for him to step aside from the U.S. presidential race. The details right after the break. Hello again and welcome to the program. First in our news file on Thursday, candidate Abdelmajid Tebboune submitted his application for the Algerian presidential election at the headquarters of the National Independent Election Authority, located west of the capital, Algiers. In a statement following the submission, Tebboune expressed his gratitude to all parties, organizations, bodies, and citizens who supported his candidacy. He expressed hope that his candidacy for the presidential elections would be accepted by the National Independent Election Authority.
وكما ينص عليه القانون، جئت لإيداع ملف ترشح رسميا لدى السلطة المستقلة لتنظيم الانتخابات. بهذه المناسبة بالطبع نجدد الشكر لكل من أبدى مساندة لشخصي من أحزاب ومنظمات وهيئات ومواطنين ومواطنات. كما أشكر بهذه المناسبة كل من تحمل عناء الذهاب إلى البلديات وإمضاء سندات لتثبت المساندة للمرشح اللي هو أمامكم اليوم. إذن شاكر لهم المجهودات لكل المواطنات والمواطنين. أتمنى إن شاء الله أن الهيئة المستقلة تقبل الملف الذي طرح أمامها.
Algerian presidential elections candidate Abdelmajid Tebboune congratulated baccalaureate exam winners and wished them success in their university career. He also wished Algerian Olympic athletes success in the upcoming Paris Olympic Games, hoping they will honor the Algerian flag.
في الظرف هذا اللي أنا فيه بالأخص اليوم، كذلك نتمنى بناتنا وابنائنا اللي فازوا في البكالوريا واللي يكون عندهم النبأ المفرح اليوم ان شاء الله، نتمنى لهم مسار اجتماعي جامعي في المستقبل ناجح ان شاء الله. كما اتمنى لمن رسبوا في امتحان البكالوريا تكون لهم فرصة أخرى إن شاء الله وينجحوا هما كذلك. الحياة ما تنتهيش عند هذه المناسبة. كذلك أتمنى لبناتنا وأبنائنا الرياضيين اللي من بعد أيام فقط في الألعاب الأولمبية إن شاء الله يكونوا من الفائزين ويرفعوا العالم الجزائري في المنافسات الدولية.
On Thursday morning, Abdelali Hassani Sharif, the candidate for the Algerian Movement for a Peaceful Society, submitted his candidacy file for the presidential election at the headquarters of the National Independent Election Authority. Following the submission, Hassani confirmed that he has an economic program designed to advance Algeria. He noted that his candidacy is supported by the An-Nahda movement and many Algerians. Yusuf Ushish representing the Socialist Forces Front officially filed his candidacy for the presidential elections on Thursday at the National Independent Election Authority headquarters in Algiers. Following the submission, Ushish urged Algerians to actively engage in the upcoming September 7th election, emphasizing their critical importance.
For us, it is a political process that enables us as a political party to encourage Algerians to participate in this important and pivotal event in the life of the nation. We entered these elections convinced that it is a strategic choice dictated by the necessity and political requirements of the nation. Through our participation, we aim to present clear and realistic proposals and answers. In this particular race, we have chosen participation and mobilization instead of withdrawal and resignation. We opt for our candidate and our project instead of alignment and positioning, planting hope instead of succumbing to pessimism and discouragement.
Independent candidate Tariq Zaghdoud submitted his candidacy file for the presidential elections at the headquarters of the National Independent Election Authority. In his statement following the submission, Zaghdoud confirmed that his program aims to strengthen democracy, national unity, the rule of law, and development.
My candidacy for the presidential elections is aimed at strengthening democracy, national unity, the rule of law, independence and development. Today, the citizens expect us as a political class to open both domestic and foreign investments, open job opportunities for university and institute graduates, and increase production to improve purchasing power. My program is comprehensive and my slogan is security, progress, and prosperity. My program is divided into 3 sections.
Candidate Shabi Salim submitted his candidacy file for the presidential elections as an independent candidate at the headquarters of the National Independent Election Authority. In a statement following the submission, Salim emphasized that his candidacy aims to serve Algeria. He added that his program is designed to adapt to evolving needs of each stage in the country's development.
Today I was received by the chairman of the Independent Election Authority, Dr. Mohammed Shorfi, where I submitted my candidacy declaration for the anticipated presidential elections scheduled for September the 7th, 2024, along with the file required by the Constitution. Indeed, I have prepared a program, but this program must take into account several points. For example, when we talk about the long term, we used to think in terms of 5 or 10 years. However, things have changed. The long term now does not exceed a year and a half. Therefore, regardless of the program and its points, they are subject to change at any time, according to the geopolitical circumstances, economic conditions, and available resources.
الظروف الجيوسياسية حسب الظروف الاقتصادية حسب الإمكانيات.
The deadline to submit candidacy declarations for Algeria's pre-presidential elections set for September 7th is ended. The Independent Election Authority will check the candidates' files for legal compliance before sending them to Constitutional Court for final approval. Hussein Berkan reports.
The presidential race in Algeria has officially begun. The process for those wishing to run involves meeting specific criteria, with a final deadline for filing candidacy declarations set for midnight on July 18th. As stipulated by the Independent National Elections Authority in preparation for the September 7 elections, prospective candidates, whether independent or affiliated with political parties, must collect individual signature forms and gather the necessary signatures. The Independent National Election Authority outlines the legal requirements for submitting a candidacy declaration, which include the candidate must submit a registration application personally to the head of the Independent National Election Authority and receive a receipt. According to the organic law related to the election system, candidates must submit either a list containing 600 individual signatures from elected members in municipal, state, or parliamentary councils distributed across 29 states, or a list containing 50,000 individual signatures from voters registered on electoral lists across 29 states, with no fewer than 1,200 signatures per state. The Independent National Election Authority will decide on the validity of the nominations within 7 days of filing, then send its decisions and the nomination files to the Constitutional Court within 24 hours. If a candidacy is rejected, the concerned party has the right to appeal to the Constitutional Court within 48 hours of notification. The Constitutional Court will finalize the list of candidates within 7 days of receiving the last decision from the Independent National Election Authority. Once the final list is approved, candidates can only withdraw in case of serious impediment or death, with additional month given before the polling date to submit a new nomination if necessary. Candidates whose files meet all conditions will then present their electoral programs during a campaign period starting 23 days before the polling date and ending 3 days before the election.
In Gaza Strip now, Zionist forces have carried out 3 new massacres, killing 54 people and injuring 95 in the past 24 hours. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reported that since October 7th, 38,848 have been killed and 89,459 have been injured. Many victims are still trapped under rubble and cannot be reached by rescue teams. Gaza Civil Defense spokesperson Mahmoud Basser reported that the Zionist weapons are causing severe injuries and limb amputations. He noted that hundreds of bodies are missing due to the impact of bombs and rockets, with many victims' bodies obliterated. In a related matter, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen stressed on Thursday in the European Parliament in Strasbourg that the bloodshed in Gaza must stop immediately, considering that the lives of many children, women, and civilians were lost in the Zionist war on Gaza. The International Court of Justice is expected to announce its advisory opinion on Friday on the legal implications of Zionist occupation on Palestinian territories since 1967. Chief Justice Nawaf Salam will present the opinion in a public session at The Hague. This follows a resolution by the UN General Assembly's Fourth Committee addressing ongoing violations of Palestinian self-determination rights. In response to the Zionist Knesset's rejection of a Palestinian state, Palestinian presidency spokesperson Nabila Borodina asserted that peace and security are attainable without a Palestinian state, as per international law. He criticized the Zionist government and blamed the U.S. for its unwavering support to the occupation.
سياسي ودبلوماسي.
מספיק, אפשר לסיים את המלחמה, צריך להתפשט, כי אנחנו בדרך.
On Thursday morning, Zionist extremist National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, protected by police, stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque from the Maghariba Gate. Local sources reported that worshippers were barred from entering the mosque during the incursion. This marks Ben-Gvir's fifth visit to Al-Aqsa Mosque since taking office in late 2022.
לעם ישראל כדי להתפלל על החטופות, על החטופים, שישובו הביתה.
To a different matter now, Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf emphasized the importance of enhancing collective efforts to achieve sustainable self-financing for the continental organization using African resources to ensure independence and sovereignty of its decisions. Attaf also supported setting a contribution ceiling of $200 million for member states and stressed adherence to the organization's administrative and financial rules.
فيما يخص ملف القضايا.
For the financial and administrative issue file, I stress the need to intensify collective efforts to ensure sustainable self-financing for the continental organization with African resources so as to ensure the independence of its positions and the sovereignty of its decisions. In this regard, we welcome setting the ceiling for member states' contributions at $200 million. As an initial and interim step toward achieving this important goal. I also stress the need for strict compliance with the rules and procedures governing the administrative and financial operations of the African Union, in order to prevent the violations and abuses revealed by the various reports issued by the subcommittee of the Committee of the Permanent Representatives.
Attaf confirmed that the blockage facing the African Union's policy and strategic framework project is due to the desire of some to perpetuate a policy of exclusion, or rather the exclusion of founding member of the continental organization. Let's take a listen.
Regarding the issue of partnerships, we can only express our regret at the state of blockage faced by draft policy and strategic framework, which is the project that would regulate the partnerships established by the African Union with various international actors from individual countries and regional groupings. What increases the severity of regret is that this blockage is due to the desire of some to perpetuate a policy of exclusion, or rather, the exclusion of a founding member of this organization.
The Algerian Foreign Minister noted that the African Union's partnerships are affecting its credibility. He stressed that true partnerships should uphold sovereign equality, and involve joint input in defining their terms.
True partnership requires resorting to the principles of sovereign equality, mutual respect, shared benefits, and joint contribution to defining the features of this partnership itself and formulating its goals and objectives. Where do we stand with all these principles when 55 countries are summoned to meet with one country? Where do we stand regarding all these principles when the host country unilaterally determines the outcome of the meeting without seeking the opinions of its African guests? Where are we in all of this? Principles. When we are treated as donors, they have no choice but to accept what the donors approve.
Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf held talks with several counterparts over bilateral relations and key issues and developments in the continent. Minister Attaf met with Mauritanian Foreign Minister Mohamed Salem Oued Merzoug to discuss cooperation and recent developments in the Sahel-Saharan region. He also held talks with Sahrawi Foreign Minister Mohamed Sidati about the Sahrawi issue. Attaf exchanged views with his Rwandan counterpart on the Executive Council agenda. With his Ghanaian counterpart, he discussed the situation in the Sahara region. Attaf talked with his Chadian foreign minister, about strengthening bilateral relations and the Sudan crisis. During the meeting with the Angolan foreign minister, they consulted on key African issues. Attaf reviewed the two countries' ties and regional issues with his Tanzanian counterpart as well. Lastly, he met with the Deputy Foreign Minister of South Sudan to express Algeria's support for South Sudan's peace process and upcoming elections. Clashes renewed in Sudan's capital Khartoum at dawn on Thursday between the army and the rapid support forces. Smokes were seen rising from Medim neighborhood and the Jabra suburb in the capital, as sounds of strong explosions were heard. This comes as the Sennar human rights monitor warned of imminent food disaster and famine due to the security situation in Sudan. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Thursday that he wanted to work to renew the bonds of trust and friendship between the UK and the rest of Europe. Starmer made the remark as he hosted leaders from across the continent at the European Political Community Summit held in the United Kingdom.
We want to work with all of you to reset relationships, rediscover our common interest, and renew the bonds of trust and friendship that brighten the fabric of European life.
The White House reports President Biden tested positive for COVID-19 during his Las Vegas campaign trip, amid growing pressure for him to withdraw from the presidential race against Donald Trump. More details with Nabil Khazini.
The stage in Las Vegas was set. Everyone was waiting for a Biden appearance that could have represented an opportunity for the US president to make a better performance in front of his supporters and to show the man he wants to show, the strong man who can lead the United States for another 4 years. But Joe Biden tested positive for COVID-19 and the big show was cancelled. Biden emerged to reassure his supporters about his health condition. However, the timing of this event cannot be worse for him. US politics has gone through extraordinary 3 weeks of dramatic, pivotal events, and this one is another surprise turn. COVID-19 has now isolated Biden until he recovers. In the meantime, he's been isolated even more within his own party. Senior Democrats, including former US President Barack Obama, who has told allies that Biden's path to victory had greatly diminished and that he should rethink whether he can win, while former US Speaker Nancy Pelosi has told Biden himself that she is pessimistic about his chances. The mounting pressure pushed Joe Biden to declare that he would consider dropping out of the presidential race if doctors told him that he had a medical condition.
If I had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. And quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings is a little bit of wisdom. And I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country, in spite of the fact they're told we couldn't get it done. But there's more to do, and I'm reluctant to walk away from that.
In a parallel universe, Trump's supporters, happy to see their candidate safe and alive, celebrate his nomination to lead the Republican Party's race to the White House next November. And while Democrats are debating Joe Biden's ability to be their nominee, Day 4 of the Republican National Convention focuses on the former president's vision for the country if he is elected to a second term. This shows the scale of the gap last week's events have made between the two parties in their race to Washington, D.C.
That's the end for our news program for tonight. For more updates, check our social media platforms. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.